Hello, everyone. This is a small guide on body language about body angles. Let's get into it. Have you ever been talking with someone and had the feeling he would rather be elsewhere than with you, even though he seems to be enjoying your company? A still photograph of that scene would probably reveal two things. First, the person's head is turned towards you, and facial signals such as smiling and nodding are evident. And second, the person's body and feet are pointing away from you, either towards another person or towards an exit. The direction in which a person points his body or feet is a signal of where he would prefer to be going. The above illustration shows two men talking in a doorway. The man on the left is trying to hold the other man's attention, but his listener wants to continue in the direction his body is pointing, although his head is turned to acknowledge the other man's presence. It is only when the man on the right turns his body to the other that a mutually interesting conversation can take place. In any face to face meeting, when one person has decided to end the conversation or wants to leave, he will turn his body or feet to point towards the nearest exit. If this was a conversation involving you, it's a signal that you should do something to get the person involved and interested, or else terminate the conversation on your terms, allowing to maintain control. What body angles say? Open positions. The distance between people is related to their degree of interest or intimacy. The angle at which people orient their bodies also give nonverbal cues to their attitudes and relationships. Most animals, if they want to fight with another animal, will signal this by approaching head on. If the other animal accepts the challenge, it will reciprocate by also standing head on. The same applies to humans. If, however, the animal wants to check out the other animal at close range but doesn't intend to attack, it will approach side on, just as friendly dogs do. And so it is with humans. A speaker who takes a strong attitude to his listeners while standing straight and facing him directly is perceived as aggressive. The speaker who delivers exactly the same message but points his body away from the listener is seen as confident and goal oriented but not aggressive. To avoid being aggressive, we stand with our bodies angled at 45 degrees to each other during friendly encounters to form an angle of 90 degrees. The picture above shows two men with their bodies angled toward an imaginary third point to form a triangle shape. The angle formed indicates that a non-aggressive conversation is probably taking place and that they are also displaying similar status by mirroring. The formation of the triangle invites a third person to join in the conversation. If a fourth person is accepted into the group, a square is formed, and for a fifth and sixth person, either a circle or two new triangles are formed. In confined spaces like lifts, crowded buses, and underground trains, where it's not possible to turn your body away from strangers to a 45-degree angle, we turn our heads to the angle instead. Closed positions. When two people want intimacy, their body angle changes from 45 degrees to 0 degrees. That is, they face each other. A man or woman who wants to monopolize a person's attention uses this position as well as other courtship gestures when they make their play. A man will not only point his body towards a woman, he also closes the distance between them as he moves into her intimate zone. To accept his approach, she only needs to orient her body angle to 0 degrees and allow him to enter space. The distance between two people standing in a closed position is usually less than in the open formation. In addition to courtship displays, both may mirror each other's gestures and increase eye contact if they are both interested. The closed position can also be used between people who are hostile towards each other in order to issue a challenge. Research has shown that men fear attack from the front and are more wary of frontal attack, while women fear attack from behind, and are wary of approaches from the rear. So never stand front on with the male you have just met. He perceives it as aggression from a man and sexual interest from a woman. If you are a male, it's acceptable to approach a woman from the front and eventually you can angle yourself to 45 degrees. How we exclude others. The next illustration shows the 45-degree open position taken if a third person wants to join two others who are standing in a closed position. He'll be invited only when the other two angle their bodies to form the triangle. If the third person is not accepted, the others will hold the closed position and turn their heads towards him as a sign of recognition, and they will probably give him tight-lipped smiles. A conversation between three people may begin in the open triangle position, but eventually two people may take the closed position to exclude the third person. This group formation is a clear signal to the third person that he should leave and avoid embarrassment. Seated body pointing. Crossing the knees towards another person shows a sign of interest in or acceptance or that person. If the other person also becomes interested, he will cross his knees towards the first person. As the two people become more involved with each other and they begin to mirror each other's gestures and movements, in the picture above, the man and the woman to the left have formed a closed position that excludes all others, such as the man on the right. The only way in which the man on the right could participate in the conversation would be to move a chair into a position in front of the couple and attempt to form a triangle, or take some other action to break their closed formation. But for now, they'd like him to take a long walk of a short pier. Foot pointing. Not only do the feet serve as pointers indicating the direction in which a person's mind is going, they also point at people who we find the most interesting or attractive. Imagine you're at a social function and you notice a group of 3 men and 1 woman. The conversation seems to be dominated by the men and the woman just seems to be listening. Then you notice that the men all have their front foot pointing towards the woman. With this simple nonverbal cue, the men are each telling the woman they're interested in her. On a subconscious level, she sees the foot gestures and is likely to stay with the group for as long as she is receiving this attention. She's standing with both feet together, which is neutral, and could eventually point one foot towards the man she finds the most interesting. Summary. So, few people ever consider the effect that body and foot pointing play in influencing the attitudes and the responses of others. If you want to make others feel comfortable, use the 45-degree open position, and when you need to exert pressure, use the direct body point. The 45-degree position allows the other person to think and act independently without feeling pressured. Never approach men directly from the front or women from behind. These body pointing skills take a little practice to master, but they can become natural before long. In your day-to-day encounters with others, foot pointing, body pointing, and positive gestures clusters such as open arms, visible palms, leaning forward, head tilting, and smiling can make it easy for others not only to enjoy your company, but to be influenced by your point of view. Thank you guys for watching. Goodbye.